Sir, may itanong lang ako sa iyo. Yung mga ambulansya mo ba, may muka ka naka-plaster dyan?
Wala po, sir. Hindi po natin gawain yon, sir. Masama po yun.
Bakit yung kay Gordon sa Red Cross, merong mukha niya nagka-display? Paano yan? How do you explain? Hindi mo rin maano, sir? Hindi ko rin.
Hindi ko po masagot, sir.
Nagtatanong ako kasi hindi ko rin alam eh. But what I know is that yung mga marami dito, lalo na sa probinsya, mga warlords, yung Philippine Charity Sweepstakes, may mga muka, hindi yung pangalan ng malaking pangalan. Ang ambulansya, maliit lang yung ambulansya na word. Ang malaki yung mukha, pati yung may-ari ng munisipyo. Actually, it's a cheap political gimmick. Yung mga ganon, talagang ano siya. And I'm wondering why ako na ngayon ang naging cheap politician. Itong isang bright boy sa Olongapo, yung mukha niya, yung ambulansya niya, nandyan yung mukha niya. Hindi naman siya pangit, medyo tisoy nga. Pero pag nasundan ko kasi yung ambulansya niya matraffic, sabihin ko sa driver, mag-slow down ka, paunahin mo yung ambulansya na yan kasi halos na makbak, naubos na ang buko sa kakamot na itong mga it's easy to say that one is a cheap politician while another is makita na ng mga tao ngayon kung sino ang mura, ang nagmumura o yung mura yung muka.
The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Jess De Los Santos. Human rights lawyer and former Bayan Muna representative Neri Colmenares will be running for senator in next year's polls. Let's get the details straight from the man of the hour. Good afternoon, Attorney Colmenares.
Good afternoon, Jess, and good afternoon to all your viewers.
Okay, Attorney, I mean, you've had past runs for the Senate, a number of them, of course, unsuccessful. What pushes this time around to give it another shot?
Well, not just the issue of winning the Senate seat, but also the issues that are pressing that we should raise. For example, we really need to deliver the message of a radical health program that should veer away from this incompetent COVID response. People are dying, Jess, and we really need to do that. And another, of course, is the extrajudicial killings and the human rights violations going on. So we felt the need so that we can really go to the Senate if we win and reprioritize the budget for ayuda, for health benefits, and bakuna and tracing and contact tracing and mass testing. Things like this became very important for us. What is the difference now than before? With 2019, President Duterte, we have to admit, was in his midterm and he was very, very popular now. But now we see his dwindling support. We see now that he's quarreling well. He used to attack just Vice President Leni Robredo, and then Isko Moreno, and then Pacquiao. Now he's quarreling with the Senate. And there will be many more candidates who will also be attacking him because he has run roughshod over the rise in the last so many years. So I think the dwindling support and popularity of President Duterte would be an impetus for many opposition candidates, whether presidential or senatorial, to win this election.
Okay, given that, Attorney Colmenares, can you at least clarify for us under which party are you planning to run, rather?
We have not chosen yet. Makabayan, we still have its own conventions and assembly. But maybe just as a framework, 2022 is a very different election. This is an issue of survival of the Filipino people. We cannot afford another 6 years of this incompetent COVID response where many more people will die. We cannot have this another 6 years where we're giving away our resources to China. Maybe it will be exhausted by 6 years from now. Nothing for the Filipino people. We cannot have another 6 years of all these human rights violations and this trampling of checks and balance institution, whether the judiciary or Congress for that matter. So yes, I think this is an issue that we need to tackle, and we have 3.5 million votes in Makabayan normally, so we would choose the candidate that would most likely defeat President Duterte because for us, Duterte cannot be allowed to extend his dynasty and tyranny after 2022.
Okay, Attorney Neri, I know medyo maaga pa, but at this stage, who do you think that candidate would be, at least the person who has better chances here in defeating at least the administration bets?
Yes, well, Jess, there are too many missing factors. The filing of certificates of candidacy hasn't been, arrived at yet by many of the candidates. Of course, Makabayan will look at the platform of the candidate that we can ally with, and we will also look at the track record and so many factors. So I couldn't really say that now because I couldn't preempt the consultations of Makabayan itself, except to stress that we will make sure that our votes in Makabayan will be delivered to the candidate that will most likely defeat President Duterte because of what I just mentioned a while ago, that this is a different election. We cannot afford another 6 years of President Duterte in power. But any support, of course, for me, for the Makabayan candidates, would be most welcome. For example, Isang Bayan is now considering choosing its senatorial candidates. Of course, it is most welcome if groups like Isang Bayan will support me and many other senatorial candidates who are also progressive. Because we believe in the dream of Isang Bayan to unite the opposition. So we hope that this time around, people will see that Makabayan has a place in the Senate, and whether or not they agree with our politics, they would at least recognize the need for a Makabayan candidate in the Senate, if not to fiscalize graft and corruption, but also to push for people's agenda, such as for the workers, for the farmers, for the health workers, and of course, as I mentioned to you, the legislative agenda of Makabayan, free healthcare for all, and free education, and all these things that we've battled in the House, including, of course, pension for senior citizens and other benefits for our people during this grave time of pandemic, Jess.
Okay, of course, needless to say, Attorney Neri, you'll be part of the opposition. The big news yesterday, Mayor Isko Moreno announcing that he's running for president. Would you say that Mayor Isko somehow represents a true opposition?
Well, for us, as I mentioned a while ago, the election in 2022 is different as far as Makabayan is concerned, of course. For us, it is about Duterte's candidate and all candidates who genuinely would wish to battle him. So the field for choosing for us would be broader, no? Unlike previous elections where we have candidates we supported, but in the end candidates lose and somebody wins, and the issue of survival is not yet there. This time around, we really care who really wins this election because, as I mentioned a while ago, it is a sort of an existentialist issue here, the survival of the Filipino people. So that's what's primordial for us, that we make sure that we end the dynasty and tyranny of President Duterte. We have 3.5 million votes. If we waste it on some other candidates, and the second candidate, for example, loses by 1 million votes, I mean, it would really be very, very frustrating for all of us that we didn't put our votes to the candidate that could have defeated President Duterte. So in that sense, we have a broad outlook now than before because of the dire necessity to end his tyranny and dynasty in 2022 and to ensure that there will be no Duterte in another 6 years. And that's what's important for us, and we believe also for the Filipino people.
Of course, when talking about the opposition, you have Vice President Leni Robredo constantly saying that she's at least making efforts, making strides in forming a united opposition for next year's polls. At this stage, you have a number of names already saying, of course, that they are running for the president. Would you say that a united opposition at this stage is still possible?
No, in fact, Vice President Leni Robredo's efforts to unify the opposition and for her to really hold off her announcement whether to run or not, in probably efforts to help unify the opposition, is a good thing. And with or without the declarations or pronouncements of other candidates, the search for a genuine opposition will continue. Even if the certificates of candidacy are filed, those who run against President Duterte's candidates could still talk among themselves and probably sacrifice certain ambitions and say, look, you know, we need to defeat him, we will give way to you. It can happen. I'm an eternal optimist. The search for united opposition against President Duterte's candidates will continue after the filing of certificates of candidacy, and maybe even long after that, because I think everybody realizes it will be quite difficult to defeat President Duterte without a united opposition. Although it doesn't mean that the opposition will lose if there are many candidates who run because of the dwindling support of President Duterte, but it would make our jobs harder to defeat him in 2022. So it's very, very necessary for all of us to continue that search, and we should not be disappointed or let go of that dream of a united opposition just because some candidates have already announced or some candidates have filed their certificates of candidacy later, because I think there is that opportunity that some will withdraw in the end, or at least give way, if not withdraw, or at least endorse or support a candidate that can best defeat President Duterte in 2022.
All right, like what you said earlier, it's still too early to tell. Lots can still happen. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Former Bayan Muna Representative Neri Colmenares.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Here's a quick look at some of today's headlines. Face shields are no longer required outdoors except in high-risk areas or situations. President Duterte threatens to file malversation charges against Senator Dick Gordon. And PBA action continues with Meralco Bolt sealing a twice-to-beat advantage in the quarterfinals. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 1 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Jess De Los Santos. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe. Philippines, we are One News.